it comes to the book industry, publishing industry, let's call it that. I made the case for a very long time that a lot of numbers are skewed. A lot of numbers are fake. They are being paid by, and I would love to see those numbers. And I think there needs to maybe be some FOIA requests to kind of really dial that in, because we don't really know. But once you start looking under this, we've seen so many stories of this, and where you got libraries that are paying for people's books, and you hear, oh, so-and-so is a top seller. And it's not because they're really selling it to citizenry. It's because, well, taxpayer dollars are being used to pay for this stuff, right? This politician comes out with a new book. Nobody's actually interested in it, but you know who will buy it? The state. And they're, of course, going to overpay for it anyway. This is how a lot of this is why, if you wonder why, especially leftist artists especially. But if you wonder why they're so protective of that, because that's the cash cow, right? State doesn't earn anything. They steal from everybody. They tax it from the individuals, or they print it out there and there. That's how they get their money. Right? They don't earn anything. So it's easy for them to spend money just frivolously. They'll just spend it like it's going out of style. But they also get paid by it. So you hear about, whether it be the publishers, writers, authors, all that are so protective of that, because, well, they know in the event that they remove, you see people in academia like this all the time. In the event that they get removed, they know a lot of them are gone. They don't get to pay. There's no true value. There's no true market for what it is that they are doing, because the state is funding it. So we have an example of this right here, where you had this 1619 project, and this author who I've seen, you probably see say stupid stuff on social media, Nicole Hannah Jones. The Fairfax County Public Library paid almost $30,000 to this author for a 1-hour speaking event. There's not a whole lot of people that are worth that. I can tell you that, much less some writer. But the state paid that. Again, talk about this. Academia, they love this stuff because that's their cash cow. Right? It's easy to get the approval. It's easier, let's say that, because most private citizens, you go on top of like just a private bookstore, just a regular bookstore. You say, hey, man, I want 30 racks. They're going to be like, bro, you get up out of here, man. You ain't getting no 30 racks from us to be speaking. Ain't nobody even like you like that. Hannah Jones, author of the controversial New York Times Magazine series, The 1619 Project, which aimed to reframe the United States as a system built on racism. Earlier this month, I think Glenn was talking about this. Glenn Beck, that is. Hulu released a docuseries and adaptation of Hannah Jones' project. Northern Virginia residents were enraged that a local library wrote a $33,350 check to Hannah Jones, $29,000 of which was covered by taxpayer dollars, for a 1-hour speaking engagement at the community center at McLean Community Center. Hannah Jones will rake in approximately $589 a minute. Fairfax County Times reported that Hannah Jones' contract with the Virginia Library, of course, man, included nonstop direct first-class plane tickets, hotel accommodations, ground transportation, and $350 to cover her speaker's out-of-pocket expenses. So apparently it wasn't enough. Last month, Virginia taxpayers were fuming when they discovered Fairfax County Public Library shelled out $22,000 to Ibram Kennedy for virtual. He didn't even show up. Virtual 1-hour talk, got 22 racks easy from the state. Kennedy, we know who he is, talking about the critical race theory, all that sort of stuff. This has happened more often than you like to think. Local resident Michael Albin of Fairfax County Taxpayers Alliance told Fairfax County Times that Hannah Jones is being paid for her star power and not to share her ideas. He accused the library of misuse of public funds for propaganda programming. So it's basically these local residents that are pissed off at it. By my estimates, the Fairfax County Public Library is using over $60,000 in taxpayer funds to host Kennedy and Hannah Jones as speakers. Hannah Jones is estimated to have pocketed over $1 million in 2022, giving speeches about inequality. And I'm willing to bet the vast majority of that money, she made $1 million just doing the speaking engagements, right? In last year. And I'm willing to bet the vast majority of that was links to taxpayer funds. Giving speeches about inequality and racism in America, according to the records that were obtained by the Daily Wire. Another contract obtained by the outlet revealed that Hannah Jones received more than $100,000 from Indiana taxpayers for a 2-day university lecture. Guys, I'm telling y'all, those are the most rotten institutions. The schools and the state funded, I hate using that term because they don't fund anything. They steal all the funds. That's where the money's at in terms of why you wonder why these folks won't go away. They don't really have a true demand. Like their Twitter followers don't got money like that. Where are they getting the funds from? Well, that's where it's coming from. You. And that's why it's so attractive. See, y'all keep trying to play this game. Definitely when it comes to universities, right? Oh, we just need to reform it. No, they need to go away. They need to be stripped entirely of their funding and forced entirely, not partially, entirely by private citizenry. Forced to have programs that are worth a damn, right? In which people are going to be spending this money. States shouldn't have ever been involved, obviously, in higher education anyway, right? If you want to wonder why it's so much, that's why. As soon as they got involved in the grant and loan business, well, this is what happened, right? Now, all schools are nowadays is a bunch of institutions largely funded by the state, a bunch of institutions trying to outspend each other. And the leeches love that because there's a guaranteed check that they can convince some admin or whoever to pay them an insane amount of money, an insane amount of bread to just do what exactly? Do what? An insane amount of bread to speak, to pay for your books, to whatever it is. But if that came to an actual private institution, their compensation would be more than half because there's no true market demand. And that's the evil of the state, right? That's why it's so rotten, because it muddies up markets. Because they're not dealing with the same kind of rules that an average or regular person has to deal with. They're not dealing with that. Regular people, you got to convince people to volunteer. Rippaverse, I got to convince you to buy it, right? Not, I'm going to sell X amount of thousands of copies to these libraries, right? These chains of libraries. Scholastic and all that stuff, dude. Like, I'm not doing that. I have to convince willing buyers to do it. But a lot of these guys, that's not how it works. These guys who see part of the corporate press and the corporate media, that's not how it works. They're getting money from the state. It's essentially welfare statism. Wherever you're viewing the content, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed it, you may be interested in my comic book company, Rippaverse Comics. Our first book and campaign, ISOM #1, brought in $3.7 million with tens of thousands of satisfied customers. Visit Rippaverse.com to check out our store and stay up to date with the latest campaigns from one of the hottest new comic book companies. Also, my first big step towards a parallel economy was the development of my personal website, ericdjuly.com. This entirely replaced my Patreon. Now, if you enjoy this content, please consider becoming a member over at the website. We have an ever-expanding list of perks for various membership tiers, a forum, and a phone app. Some of these perks will even benefit you if you're fans of the Rippaverse. Anyway, I appreciate you so much for being a supporter and or customer. I even got a little love for my haters.